Hello and welcome to GrossiMath.com, where math is for everyone. Today we're going to be discussing what is an equation. So let's get started. So first off, you might think it's awkward to talk about, well, what's an equation when you just need to solve equations. But I think that it's really important. If you understand what an equation is, it can actually help you, especially if you've already experienced our expressions playlist, because many of the rules that govern equations are deeply related to expressions. So what is an equation? Well, in a previous playlist, we talked about expressions, and an expression is a group of terms, right? And in all of our videos, we've been using these little pink boxes to represent terms, and we call this an expression, and it's a group of terms. And then in an equation, what you will see, and of course the word equal is in an equation, so you would see an equal sign. And on the opposite side of the equal sign, you're going to see another expression. So here I can label this one expression number 1, and I could label this one expression number 2. So here you might see A plus B plus C plus 3. And here you might see 8 minus X plus Y minus Z, or something like that. Okay, now I just made these up from the top of my head, but the purpose is for you to see that here I have one grouping of terms and here I have another. And there's something else that's very important to point out. A single term also counts as an expression. So for example, here I have a famous equation that I can make. Let me write the equation first and then I'll identify the terms. Y equals mx plus b. If you're an algebra student, you've seen this equation before. And here I have an expression, and here I have an expression. This expression only has one term, which is allowed. A group of terms can technically have just one person in it, or one term in it, excuse me, not one person. And so we see that this would be expression number 1. Then we have our equal sign separating the two expressions. And then here we have expression number 2. And it's so important that you understand this composition being what an equation is, because then we can talk about our rules and we can work with our expression rules when we work in our expressions, and then we can learn some special equation rules when we're doing stuff that goes on both sides of the equal sign. So there's a big difference between expression rules and equation rules, and that's what we're going to be pursuing in future videos. So let's just do a couple of examples of some more equations right here. I have the equal sign in the middle. Now I'm going to identify my terms. And now that I've identified my terms, I can pretty much identify my expressions. Expression number 1, expression number 2. Please notice that the equal sign is not a part of expression number 1 or expression number 2. It's the barrier between them. And that's why it does not end up inside one of our pink term boxes. If you're watching this and you're thinking, God, what's a term? That's something that's in a previous video. So if you want to go back and watch that, that would be perfectly fine. Here's another one. Identify the term. Identify the term. That's expression number 1. Now we come to this one and identify the term. This one I put on purpose just to remind people, just in case you haven't seen the term video in a while, that plus and minus signs inside the parentheses don't count when we're identifying terms. So this one's going to count as expression number 2. And of course, there's my equal sign in the middle. So this whole entire thing is my equation. Okay, so it's two expressions connected by an equal sign. One thing that you should remember about equations and expressions is that there's something very, very important, which I should point out before you all leave, which is that an expression, we often see this in the directions, simplify. You can simplify an expression. When we work with equations, we often see this word, solve. And we had a previous video about, well, what does the word solve mean? And it's very important that you understand, we talked about that the word solve means x equals something. And as you can see, only an equation can be solved for that reason. Here I have expression number 1. Remember, one term is fine. And here, whatever's inside that bubble will count as my expression number 2. An expression itself can only be simplified. An equation can actually be solved. So that's the end of this video. I hope you learned something today about what is the difference between an equation and an expression. In future videos, we're now going to start learning the rules of equations, so I hope you stick around. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and to visit the website where math is for everyone, www.grossimath.com. Have a great day, guys. Bye.